Hello and welcome to another Bushwhacker review. Today we are going to be taking a look at NASCAR Authentics Wave 7 for 2022. We are back to a good mold wave with some of the cars having blurry decals. The pattern keeps following, and it still keeps following after this because the next wave after this, Wave 8, is again a shitty mold wave. So, seems like the pattern's just going to keep going like that for a while. I mean, Lionel did specifically say, like, oh, we're going to keep using the bad factory for the rest of the waves for 2023, or 2022, which, I mean, it's into 2023 now, so whatever. Who knows how long it's going to be until we actually see a 2023 wave, but said some of the 2023 diecasts are starting to show up. One of the cars in the background there is a 2023, but we'll get to that later. Honestly, a pretty solid wave of choices here. Good paint schemes, good secondaries. You got, a special paint scheme in here. A bunch of good stuff. The Castro Brad Keselowski is the liquid color of the wave, if you're looking for the liquid color. And it's the good mold, so it actually looks like a liquid color, not like that crap with the Tootsie's car. But though, don't worry, we'll get to that in the next review of Wave 8. Anyways, let's just get into the cars right now. We'll start with Chase Elliott's Lumar Window Films car. Here is the sticker. And here is the car itself. Still not a great paint scheme. So the Lumar cars have just always looked like really just not good. The colors aren't bad, but then you have those bright neon blue numbers that just look terrible. It's something about, like, the shades of, like, the shading in a window or whatever, and I don't know. It's just not, it's got the, like, it's not good. And this diecast especially is bad because, as you can see, there's a huge blank spot there. They actually did fill that on the real car. Both times it ran. Like, at Martinsville, it said, like, windows, like, Martinsville windows and doors or something. It said Martinsville on the quarter panel for Martinsville, and then said something else for, like, Coda. So this diecast is really not accurate because it never ran like this with just a huge empty blank spot like that. I said that does not really look good either. There's a lot of, cars that have been having that problem with the number move forward just because there's a lot of cars that have logos that, like, they can't stretch out that far. Like the Christopher Bell Ream is another one that has that issue. Like, it's just, you can't really put, like, it looks like Lumar is one of those companies. Like, we want this logo to look exactly like this, so they have to put it on the door. They can't put, like, Lumar Window Films, but I don't know. Definitely not the best paint scheme, but it's Chase Elliott, so every single one of Chase Elliott's cars is going to have Authentics one way or another. Next up, we have William Byron's Valvoline car. Here's the sticker if you want to see that. This is a pretty nice paint scheme. I really kind of like William Byron's Valvoline cars. They kind of have that old school Valvoline look with the bright white with, the different blue and red stripes. We're lighting in here. You ran this a few times last year. I know this ran at the Clash, if I remember correctly. It's a pretty nice paint scheme. It has, the classic neon yellow Hendrick numbers. Some of the Valvoline cars have been pretty nice. I like, Kyle Larson's red one. This one looks pretty nice. I don't think Alex Bowman doesn't really run one anymore because LA sponsors the whole season. And then Chase Elliott had a half Valvoline car last year. It was the Napa car with Valvoline on the quarter panel, but definitely a nice choice. Valvoline does know how to make some good paint schemes. Next up, we have Alex Bowman's Ally Best Friends 48 car. Here's the sticker. So finally got our first special paint scheme in Authentics. What I mean by that is, like, to me, a special paint scheme means it's a company or a, whatever that has a normal paint scheme and then they run a different paint scheme. Like, the Worth car is a secondary. The Subway car is a secondary. Those aren't special paint schemes, but this to me is because there's already a regular Ally car and then this one is for, the pet insurance or whatever. This car's okay. Last year's was definitely way better. You had that beautiful, like, purple and orange gradient car, and now this year's just, like, it's basically the regular paint scheme, but with a bunch of paw prints on the side. Which is a cool design, but I don't mind the paw prints on the side, but I think last year's was a little bit more different, where this one looks too much like the normal car, which, I said last year's Ally car was really not great. This year's looks fantastic. They really, upped their game this year. It's got, like, this whole, like, swoosh on the side with, like, different purples and pinks, and it's got, like, a gradient going on, and they're going to run a night and day race car. Hopefully they put both of those in Authentics. I would enjoy getting those because that one's so much better than this year's white paint scheme. But he ran this at Phoenix again, if I remember correctly, in the spring. Definitely a solid paint scheme. Next up, we have Ty Dillon's Black Rifle Coffee Company 42 car for Petty. And we have our first blurry decal car. And this one's making everyone laugh because of the logo there. Like, as you can see, there's like a little bit of shading in the logo, but it's basically a bright white logo with a little bit of some black shading and stuff. And the blurry decals made it, you know, look like the decals are falling off, or they're getting super dirty, or this is a race win, because that's what that looks like. This car broke original Big Bri. Like, when he was going over his, like, you know, wave reaction or whatever, this car just broke him. Like, that looks terrible. Like, how is that company okay with this? That's my question. How is Black Rifle Coffee going to be okay with their logo looking that, you know, bastardized? Like, there you can see the terrible NASCAR Cup Series logo that you can't even read. Anyways, it's a nice paint scheme. This car was sort of his primary. I mean, he ran, like, so many different paint schemes, and they offered all of them, and all but, like, 2 of them got canceled. This one got made. I think it's, like, Gravely Mowers got made, but only in 124, I think. Like, Ty Dillon, they were offering, like, everything, and everything was DNPing. Except the end of the year. They never offered the Space Force car. I really wanted the Space Force car, but whatever. This car became infamous immediately in the Clash last year, because in the Last Chance qualifier, Ty Dillon was an absolute menace on the track. He was punting everyone, wrecking people, spinning people, slamming people into the wall. He was just going insane. And he almost actually got in because of it, but then he jumped the last restart, so they said, see, the thing about making it is you didn't. Like I said, he was a menace on the track last year, and that was his only highlight. He sucked all year. He was not good. He got kicked out already just because he got replaced by Noah Gragson, which is definitely a much better driver. I assume he's still going to have a Black Rifle Coffee car this year because Noah Gragson, they already sponsored him in Xfinity with the Bass Pro Shop car, so I would assume this is still running this year. Hopefully they keep the same paint scheme because it is a nice paint scheme. Black Rifle Coffee is also being run this year with Travis Pastrana when he's making his Cup start at the Daytona 500. He apparently has a Black Rifle Coffee car. As of recording this video, we haven't actually seen Travis Pastrana's car or Noah Gregson's. We've barely seen any. The Petty's in trouble this year. They have, like, no sponsors. Like, the 43 haulers came out for the test, and all that's on it is, like, Allegiant, Air Force, and STP. Allegiant is owned by Gallagher, so that's not a real sponsor. STP and Air Force are only, like, 2 or 3 races a year, so that's not good. And then, like, Gregson seems to have Black Rifle Coffee, and then he looks like he might run Wendy's again this year. And those are not full-time races either. So he already for the Clash, he has Sunseeker Resort and Jones has Allegiant, both Gallagher companies. So not looking good. But anyways, nice paint scheme, blurry decal car, whatever. Next up, we have Kyle Busch's DeWalt Tools number 18 for Joe Gibbs Racing. Probably the last Joe Gibbs Racing authentic we're going to get, because everything ran out with the licensing between Joe Gibbs and also the Mars license ran out, and this car does still have M&Ms on it. Which is kind of funny. This actually came out after the license end. I'm kind of surprised they got away with that, but this is another blurry decal car, as you probably can tell. He said you can see how weird the M&M's logo looks. Again, the NASCAR Cup Series logo looks weird. He said you can also tell if they're the blurry decal cars because they, for some reason, have the, you know, roof camera in there, and then they have the extra vent on the quarter panel, or I mean the side skirt. It looks like we're getting all 3 of the DeWalt cars. If we already, we got Christopher Bell's already, didn't we? Or am I mistaking that wrong? I'm pretty sure we got Christopher Bell's in a couple waves ago. Now we have Kyle Busch's, and if that leaked wave for wave 9 is correct, it had Martin Truex Jr.'s DeWalt car. So we'll have to wait and see if that's true, but I said I never was really a fan of the random cars when they just threw a Joe Gibbs Racing sponsor on Kyle's car. Like I said, I want the M&M's car and I want the different brands and stuff, so I don't want a race taken up by DeWalt. We already have the Christopher Bell car. Not a bad paint scheme, though. Next up, we have Kevin Harvick's Subway Eat Fresh number 4 for Stewart Haas Racing. It is kind of funny. Subway stayed for 2 years, a couple races each year, and then has now dipped and got replaced by Sunny D of all companies. Like, that was the most random thing ever, that Sunny D is going to apparently be sponsoring Kevin Harvick next year, or this year, I mean. And they're also sponsoring Riley Herbst in his Cup debut at the Daytona 500. And they are apparently still sponsoring Stenhouse on that 47 car, so we're going to get like 3 different Sunny D cars this year on 3 different teams, so that's kind of funny. But anyways, back to the Subway car. Still a really nice paint scheme. Like I said, I got the, 2021 Gen 6 version of the paint scheme in diecast form, or the 124, I mean. I already reviewed that if you want to go check that out, but I never bought the next gen version, but it definitely is still a nice paint scheme. Like I said, these Subway cars always look great. The greens, the yellow, the black highlights, just looks fantastic. This one worked pretty well with the next gen changes too. Obviously, there's a big blank spot right there. That would be the Busch Beer logo. Obviously, can't put that in a 164 for kids in stores, so leads to a bunch of blank spots. I'm pretty sure Busch would have been on the roof too. Definitely a really cool paint scheme though, and I'm glad this ended up in Authentics. I said they should always put the very recognizable brands in Authentics, in my opinion. Like, everybody knows Subway, so having this on the shelves, well, if you can even find it on the shelves, is a good idea. Next up, we have Brad Keselowski's Castrol number 6 for RFK. Like I said earlier, this is the liquid color chase piece if you're looking for that. And is a very nice looking liquid color. I would love to find that one, but I can only find the crappy mold liquid color chase piece cars. Solid enough paint scheme. I was never as much of a fan of this car. I like the Castrol cars with a little more depth than just bright green and bright red. Like, this year's looks fantastic. It's like the Castrol Edge car. It's like a black base with like the green, red, and white highlights and like spikes and stuff around it. Looks fantastic. This one's still good. Like, don't get me wrong. I still like this car, but I definitely like the Castrol cars that are like silver or black or have a little more depth to them than just being green and red. But we're actually getting Chris Buescher's Castrol car in the next mold, or the next wave, I mean, the shitty mold wave. Be a really good test of how the colors look, but we'll get to that in the next video. Solid choice. Next up, we have Ryan Blaney's Worth number 12 for Team Penske. Another solid paint scheme. I've also reviewed the 124 of this car. I quite like how this one looks. You have the white spikes coming from the front, the red spikes from the back. Just a very nice looking paint scheme. I said I never really liked how there's just that big, huge blank spot right there, though. That was the one complaint I had with this paint scheme. There's just a huge blank spot. But definitely a very nice car, and I'm glad to get this in Authentics. Have we seen the Worth car for this season, for 2023? I don't believe we've seen the Worth car yet. It's probably going to stay the same. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they kept it the same. Or maybe it's one of those cars that went up for pre-order and already got canceled, and that's why I don't remember it. I don't know. Definitely a cool choice. And last but not least, we've got Joey Logano's Shell Pennzoil Primary, the champion for the 2022 season's paint scheme, which is kind of bad, honestly. This is also a blurry decal car. You can see that, but the fact that it took until January of 2023 to get the 2022 champion's primary paint scheme out on shelves is not great. And so most people aren't finding it anyway, so it's probably more like February by the time you might find this car, if you even find it. And it's on the blurry decal thing. Like, I feel like the champion deserves a little more respect than a blurry decal car that took this long to come out. I'm glad we're finally getting Logano in Authentics again, because there was like a huge gap of like 10 to 12 waves where we didn't get a single Logano diecast in Authentics. We got that Mario Andretti Darlington throwback, and then we didn't get anything until that AAA car in Wave 4. But now we got the AAA car, we got the Auto Trader car, now we got a Shell car. I hope we get some of the race wins or something for Authentics, but you can see blurry decals, you got the little vent, you got the, roof camera and all that. But I mean, like, yeah, look at how weird those logos look back there. That's about it for the wave. Might as well bust out here is the 2023 I was talking about. Some of them are already out, and then Plan B air freighted some more, but you can see how much clearer the decals are. It's worth pointing out that Lionel is putting the new updated hood vents on the 2023 cars. All 3 manufacturers are updating their hood vents, so that's cool. I'm also surprised. I'll give Lionel credit. They actually did get that new C-Post sponsor for Penske. It's like Cap Gemini. I looked it up once. It was like statistics or something, but it appeared on the car when one of the photo shoot, I think it was Logano's like photo shoot for this car, but nobody expected it to be on the diecast, but luckily it actually did appear on the diecast. That's cool. Lionel's not going to actually update the new molds or anything because there are little body changes to all three cars too, but I don't think they're going to update any of the molds for that. But anyways, pretty solid wave. It's a shame we still get some of the blurry decal cars, but like I said, I don't think we're ever going to, escape that. I wish Lionel would just finally come out and say what the hell the point of this is, but whatever. Like I said, not a bad wave at all. Good selection of choices and such. If you're looking for this wave, good luck. Like I said, it's been really weird with distribution lately. I said I've seen most of my stores still to this day have either the test car wave or nothing. I've seen scraps of the wave with the Tootsie's car, the last wave before this. So that was the first time that I ever just like happened to stumble upon scraps of a wave since the test car wave, but I've only seen that once and now it's back to just test car or emptiness, but so good luck. But I think it's pretty much all there is to say. This has been a review of NASCAR Authentics Wave 7 for 2022. Hope you enjoyed and thanks for watching.